Today, we are excited to welcome Kumar Arora. Kumar is an entrepreneur, investor, and consultant behind many startups and brands. Some of his ventures include Sora Sushi, Ilthy, Futureland, and more. Kumar has taken his vision and expertise to lead the way with strategic investments and growth opportunities with his parent company, Aurora Ventures, which provides resources, investment, consulting services to assist early stage to mid-sized businesses. He serves as a consultant and advisor for a range of industries, and he boasts an impressive roster of clients ranging from Fortune 500s, startups, to celebrities and athletes. Kumar returned to Cleveland from Los Angeles, where he served as the chief branding officer for Real Good Foods. While here back in Cleveland, he is committed to pursuing civic activities and finding ways to empower his city. He remains deeply involved in mentoring young entrepreneurs and supporting initiatives that foster economic growth and community development. And he is a graduate of our Leadership Cleveland class of 2025. Please welcome Kumar.
Hey guys, glad to be here. We got a full room. This is great. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Give me a second. Can you guys see it? Awesome. All right, so I'm here to talk about my 20-year journey in entrepreneurship. I started my early years at Ohio State. It was around 2004, 2005, where I began to learn that medicine wasn't for me. And I went from pre-med to a few different majors, eventually landed into the love of entrepreneurship. It was 2008 during the recession. I remember going to my advisor at the time and I said, can't find a job. What do I do? Where do I go? And she told me, if you can't find a job, sometimes you got to make one. And it was that light bulb moment of hearing that when I realized the work that I'd been doing throughout college, where I was meeting different folks, learning graphic design, I was already kind of picking up the skills needed to become an entrepreneur. I just didn't, I need someone to tell me that. This was a time before YouTube existed and whatnot. So, much of my work in those early formative years was self-taught. I ended up graduating with economics, but I really had the love of creating things, and while I did pursue medicine in my undergraduate years, it was my mom and dad who really taught me a lot. My mom was an artist, my dad was a scientist. So for me, I got a little left brain, right brain. But both of them were creators in their own right. So because of that, I think I fell in love with just developing products and creating experience and moments. So for me, much of my work is still that today, where I'm designing products, I'm launching new ventures, investing in my fellow entrepreneurs here in our city, and really continue that movement for our entrepreneurial ecosystem. Rachel gave a great intro, so I don't need to read my bio to you guys. For those of you who want to stick with me and kind of follow my journey, you could follow me at my website, just kumar-aurora.com. I try to maintain and update that, and I have my socials as well. It's just kaurora007 on all platforms. That's where you get a chance. You can see my work in real time, whether it's the work I do at my restaurant, my clothing brand, all my different kind of projects that I'm up to. I've really grown up in a mentality where it's not just what do you want to be when you grow up, it's what all can you be while you're growing up. So for me, I believe that I'm a polymath, and I really do believe in having that, zest for knowledge and experiencing as much as you can. So I try to never be afraid of the next investment, and even if those do fail, I try to find ways to pick myself back up. Throughout my journey of entrepreneurship, I actually got to play myself on TV 10 years ago, on the dot almost. I was being in the process of being casted for a TV show that LeBron put on. It was called Cleveland Hustles at the time. 2016, great year for us in Cleveland. So I not only was helping build the show and think about it while I was in LA, but I actually ended up getting casted. So I was the youngest shark on television at the time, the first Indian American to ever appear on television as an investor, which was pretty cool. So um, I didn't have as many gray hairs at the time on the show, but it still airs on Peacock, CNBC, online, and YouTube TV. So if you do want to see a washed-up reality star, there's your chance. We will be doing a lot of great stuff for our 10-year anniversary next year. It also just happens to be the finals anniversary as well, when we won the championship. So a lot of great stuff coming out. We'll be doing workshops, different kind of activities. So those who are interested in kind of learning more about entrepreneurship in our city will be getting our castmates back together. Such a great milestone for my career to be able to, do the good work of empowering entrepreneurs, investing in them, and really revitalizing neighborhoods, which is really what I still do today. So I'm just glad to still be kicking, because it's a tough journey of entrepreneurship. Many people often get confused with my general business, but my parent company is Aurora Ventures, which serves kind of as my central hub for all my different brands and portfolio. And we'll get into some of my fun, more, the projects that I have. But my portfolio expands into CPG, real estate, e-commerce, expanding into AI. So I've really been thinking through the things that I'm passionate about and how I can invest in those. And I found myself really falling in love with consumer goods and things that you can touch, feel, experience, eat, and I think that's really where I like to play because my core of what I do as an entrepreneur really is around focused around branding, marketing, and experiential. So now, since I have those core skill sets and that's who I am from my early years, I make sure I have partners, mainly operating partners, who do the things I can't do. When it comes to entrepreneurship, it's not a journey you do alone. It's about building teams. And that's really important because I would not be where I'm at today if I didn't have really great operating partners, CEOs who I can lean on to really help, cast the visions that I set for my company. So many of my work projects are passive, but some of the more active ones include the ones that are shown here. Um, Ilthy is a clothing brand that I invested into about 15 years ago. It stands for I'd love to help you. We do a lot of great work around social impact with apparel. So it's not just about wearing good, but it's about feeling good too. So many of our projects have that tie-in to support the arts community, supporting local food banks and projects around that. So we try to find collaborative partners that, see the power in merchandising and we leverage that. And we've been fortunate to team up with local powerhouses like the Cavs, the Browns, the Guardians, as well as nationwide brands like Cheez-It, Eggo Waffles. Street Fighter is coming out pretty soon, pretty big video game from Capcom. So we're working with a lot of different groups across the board. One of my other loves that I came back to from LA was Sora. It's a sushi restaurant that I helped develop in the flats. I really wanted to create something that we could feel proud about that can not just provide good food, but a great experience. So, much of my work really is the DNA. And when you see something, you're like, oh, this feels like something Kumar would do because it's vibrant, it's bold, it's got strong social media. It also feels different for Cleveland. Much of my portfolio of the brands within Aurora Ventures, they really do have a level of disruptiveness to them. And to me, that is really kind of what I bring to the table is how can I enter the market and create a stamp for these different kind of projects and then get them to scale. Futureland's another great initiative that has now turned into its own 501(c)(3) earlier this year. We've got our AI Summit happening November 20th. I welcome all of you to come. It's going to be at Mocha downtown on the east side. And the premise really is to support our tech ecosystem, our arts and culture, and again, really get our startups going. And for me, again, in this 20-year journey, it's not just about me, but it's about everyone around me, and Futureland is a great hub to get us all connected again post-COVID and how we can think through our startup scene, our Texas scene, our artists, community. How can we get them to start thinking differently? And I really love that we can build something for Futureland. We've been doing a lot of great events with LinkedIn and Google, and a lot of great partners through the whole year. So I welcome all of you to consider coming out to a Futureland event. Outside of my portfolio, with the time that I do have, I also serve a lot of clients, as Rachel had mentioned, everyone from Fortune 500s to celebrities and athletes. Always thinking through how we can support them through great marketing, great branding, or community impact. Some of the brands listed, some of you may know, very well-known names, and this journey has really led me to not only work for my own companies and brands, but really offer my services. And I do that through a company called Underdogs, which is my agency. Got a great team built in Cleveland, and we're just trying to make things, shake things up to support our clients and offer the same services of what we do from branding, marketing, and experiential to our clients. It's been a fun journey overall, and I'm just excited to see where I'm going to go for the next, say, 20, 30 years of business. But it's been great to be able to play on both sides where I can not just serve my own teams and communities, but also serve our clients as well. When people ask me what does my day-to-day look like, it looks like this emoji. While I do have, a good handle on what I'm doing day to day, I think that I've learned to survive in the fire. I think there's a level of peace in the chaos for me. And for those of you who are in entrepreneurship or have friends that are in business, it usually feels like this at all times to some degree. But we learn to thrive in that chaos, and I believe that for me, since I've been in it so long, nothing scares me anymore, and I'm used to figuring out how to navigate that kitchen that's caught on fire. And to some degree, I think I'm actually looking for it. If it's too quiet and too easy, something's not right, So oftentimes I tell my employees and my teammates the same thing is that, when I'm pushing you into a new project or a new experience I'm doing because I want you in the fire too, and I want you to get out of it. Maybe a few burns here and there, but I want you to come out of it and say, I have become stronger because of this. And I think that the disruptive nature of my brands, the investments that I make, and the things that I do for our city largely are so new and novel that oftentimes we're always in the fire, and it's really important for all of us to think about having that entrepreneurial mindset because I think that when you start tinkering and thinking about how to make your world better, whether that's in a nonprofit or the corporate world, even if you're in college, if you're thinking about how to become better, you're optimizing your life. And I actually believe that having an entrepreneurial mindset, even if you're not necessarily an entrepreneur, is such a great thing to have. Another great milestone outside of Cleveland Hustles was I was invited to meet Kamala Harris about 2 years ago, and I represented Ohio, and we talked about issues that business owners face. And to represent our city and our state on the big stage was such a great experience for me. It's one of those takeaways, I look back at even that photo on the left, just being in that image, it just looks like something you'd see in a history book. And I really never thought that the work that I get to do will be able to have that level of impact where I can help shift policy, I can help shift communities and really just do good in so many various ways. Oftentimes business gets a bad rap, but I really think that there's a beauty in social entrepreneurship. So when you look at some of these just various milestones, whether it was MGK Day, which was a charity festival that I put on, working with the Larry Doby group at the bottom right, getting, products on LeBron and Travis, even doing stuff at City Hall promoting Black History Month. It's been really great to be able to put on just things that people will remember, and it's those seeds that you plant through your city that will slowly become flowers. And I think that entrepreneurship has been such a blessing for my own self. It has been one of those things where I have to really dig deep and look inside myself on the things that I love that I can gift to the world and gift to Cleveland. And for me, I really found a true passion in the work that I do, and I'm very lucky that I have found it. And now, really, my work will extend into empowering others and finding ways to just continue to build in our city. And I'm really excited for the future years. I've got a lot of great stuff in the works, and as Rachel said, I've been back home now for 5 years officially. I came back during COVID, and at the time, I left. I was living in LA, and I always wanted to come home, but I think now that I've boomeranged back, in the last 5 years, I've done so much. Leadership Cleveland has done so much for me. It's one of my prized moments. I should definitely put some photos in here. But it was one of those moments where I feel that, it's really important to be able to do good alongside the work that you have. And if you want to lead a fulfilling life, like I said earlier, it's not what do you want to be when you grow up, it's what all can you be while you're growing up. And that's a really important phrase to remember because whether you're in a job, you're in the nonprofit sector, if you try to find things that you can connect to that are meaningful, or you can find ways to provide meaning to your community, it really changes everything for your entire life. And I'm really glad that I've been able to do it. I know this was very short and sweet. I know we're nearly at 15 minutes, so we'll switch over to Q&A. But yeah, would love to hear from all of you and continue to give back.
Well, Kumar, thank you for sharing your story, and we are happy to have you in Cleveland and leading such amazing initiatives in the community. So let's start with, as you think about your ventures and what you've been involved with, when do you know it's time to launch something new, and how do you go about evaluating the options to what that might be?
That's a great question. I am almost 40, so I feel like I'm partly going through a midlife crisis, thinking about the things I have not accomplished yet. But when it comes to the next endeavor, and I'm actually actually working through this right now, this past few weeks, where I'm getting the itch to start something new. And as I've gotten older, I have to say no a lot more than I used to. For me, I try to check a few boxes, and the first one is I have to check that what I'm working on currently is filling my cup. But more importantly, I have to seek those things that fill my cup. Right. I want fulfillment. I need to find things that serve me. That's important. If you feel that you want to pursue business for the wrong reason, that's not always a good thing. But if you find something that's fulfilling, right? And I say fill your cup a lot for that reason, is that if it fills your cup, that's already the first great move because you know it's something that you actually care about. The money will always come. Um, all the other things will happen, but if you find something that's meaningful to you, that's the first step. The second thing is, if you feel that you've plateaued to some degree, if you have the bandwidth and you feel like you're plateauing, maybe it's time to reach that next level. I think that in my case, I'm very fortunate. Leadership Cleveland, was a good year. And then I also just completed the Transformative Arts Fund, which I was one of the seven winners of that. It was a grant that came out last summer. So we put on various activations, all related to community impact in the arts, and that just completed about 2 weeks ago. So now I find myself with a lot more free time. But for me, I really have to think about when that itch shows up when I'm looking to pursue the next thing. And I think by a human nature, we're always kind of seeking something new. I have to ask myself, does this complement my portfolio? Does this complement my lifestyle? Does it support my existing businesses? Am I ready for that level of investment mentally, physically, and financially? So I'm much more careful with those decisions now, but I encourage anyone who is thinking about it just to like jump in, full steam because you learn so much about yourself in the process.
So I'd love to learn a little bit more about these activations you've hosted over the past year through the Transformative Arts Project.
Yeah, we did a total of 8 activations. Each activation supported a different form of art alongside a different social impact cause. So, um, one of them is actually on. Two of them are on this sheet here. So, I'm on the news there. The group is called For Art's Sake, and we did an activation for Cleveland Marathon. So the idea was to empower the arts alongside the marathon. There was 27,000 runners, and we actually had an artist who was formerly a runner who had gotten injured actually paint this beautiful mural, which will then get placed at UH. Her name was Sina. So we actually placed a activation where people could take photos in front of it, got a lot of social media awareness. So that was a really great one because we want to encourage people to get out and run, get out there and be physical. So to tie that with the arts was very cool. We were able to do various things like that between mental health, Black maternal health, Black History Month, which you see there at Artists Run the Streets, was an exhibition at City Hall. And more recently, we just did one around Cleveland musicians, and we did a festival called I'm from Cleveland Music and Arts Festival, where we had a vendor village, about 25 vendors, alongside just really phenomenal artists who never get the chance to perform at Nautica Pavilion. We subsidized the ticket cost to only $8, but it was a full day of just arts and culture in our city, and an opportunity for these artists to really get that. Magnified, sense of marketing and awareness to be able to be on a big stage. And it was just great practice for them. So for me, I look at my, even relationship with MGK and what we were able to do with him nearly 15 years ago and be able to now think about how we'll do that for the next generation of artists. So the work we were able to do with the funding supported about 85% went towards small businesses and artists. At the same time, we were really able to beautify spaces, create experiences, and tell people what Cleveland artists are all about.
You've been able to make so many different things happen across the Cleveland community. How have you found the Cleveland community to be in terms of supporting entrepreneurs and being open to collaborations?
I would say 10 years ago, or even 13, 14 years ago, was a lot tougher to get everyone connected. But I think that post COVID, people are trying to get back outside. They're looking to collaborate. We've been looking at Cleveland in a different way, and I think that I came back at a perfect time because people want to connect. They want to work together. They want to be interconnected. And we see that from something as small as local partnerships, all the way to even just alliances between larger organizations. I think collaboration is such a it's much more of a norm now, and I think that everyone's excited to be able to work on their projects and connect them with others. So I think that there's a just a renewed energy that we have in our city, and I'm looking forward to all that we're going to see in our city, all the way from shore decor to just development downtown. Sherwin-Williams has got the new headquarters coming in. There's just so much buzz for our city, and I think that we finally are entering that renaissance period that we've been talking about for a while.
Is there anything that you took away from your time in LA that you've been able to apply to the work you're doing here in Cleveland?
When I tell people my journey coming back, I always say that LA taught me to fly, but Cleveland gave me my roots. And to some degree, I feel like I have a little bit of both, where I'm rooted by the people and the mission, but I now know how to fly. Another great analogy I share is that now that I've been home, I think that many of us who have not really traveled or left, we still see in black and white, but I feel like I see in color now. And that came from traveling and being in different places. One of the biggest takeaways I think that I can bring that I brought back to from LA with those kind of ideologies is that one, it's important for me to tell everyone what I've learned, which is why I talk about seeing in color and flying, right? Because I want my fellow Clevelanders to experience that. But the biggest takeaway is that there's so much more that we could be doing from an arts and culture standpoint, a tech standpoint, even what we're doing with now bringing Hollywood movies to Cleveland, right? Like there's so much more that we can do. We just got to get ourselves out there. And I think that LA, New York, Chicago, they do a great job of exporting their businesses out of their state. We got to find a way to do the same thing. How can we export our IP, our culture, our artistry, our businesses, our products out of Cleveland, out of Ohio? And I think that's a big deal. And that's kind of what I want to push for is we got to figure out how to crack that code of just really getting our stuff out there beyond the state.
As you think about what it's going to take to do that, what do you see us needing here in Cleveland to make it happen?
I think that the going back to the point about staying connected, I think that we really need to make sure that our big businesses and our bigger organizations are supporting the small ones. Innovation happens on a smaller scale. I think that when we see partnerships from Cleveland Clinic supporting local startups or our sports organizations supporting our local artist scene, I think that's a great way for that to start. But that applies everywhere. Is how can we find those really great gems and magnify them because one day they could become the future Steve Jobs. We don't know yet, but we have to do it something to support that scene. And I'm actually just fortunate that even in Leadership Cleveland, I was one of the only entrepreneurs. And I think there's so many more of us out there, but we have to some degree, put them on a pedestal because we need to make sure that one, they don't leave us like I actually unfortunately did, but two, we need to make sure that we're giving them the support system they need so they don't fall off.
As you think about all of the different ventures you have been a part of, which one are you most proud of to date?
I would say Ilthy would be the one that is close to home for me. I was very fortunate to have met Glenn Infante, the founder, back in 2010, and I fell in love with his story. And for us to really be able to survive, especially in the fashion market here in Cleveland, has been awesome. But now to be able to partner with some of the biggest brands on the planet really has been a test of time, and to my other slide when you could see the celebrities like LeBron and Travis and so on can wear our products and promote it. To me, that's such a great thing to see because you just wouldn't expect it. I don't think we would have lasted this far without the support of so many people around us. And I'm really excited to see the next 15 years of our business because we just had our 15-year anniversary. And I'm really just excited to see how we're going to evolve and, really carry the flag for fashion in Cleveland.
Now let's talk about the other side of starting ventures. Many might not succeed. Can you talk about a venture that failed or didn't live up to the expectations you had hoped for? And what did you learn from that for your future endeavors?
Yeah. I think that the battle scars of business are something that I could talk about far more than my successes. And one that comes to mind more recently was a investment and project I founded called Trust Foods. I developed a cereal out of egg whites, dehydrated, extruded egg puffs. The idea was to create a better product for you that's, better than the sugary, cartoony cereals you see in the market today. I launched that project during COVID, which is probably a bad time to launch a company. Little did I know that while everyone was going to grocery stores and thinking about what they could be doing better from a health perspective, it was just really bad timing for the market. And while I thought that I was onto something, sometimes I think I was a little too early and I wasn't ready yet. The takeaways from that project was that you need to do a lot of market research, you need to build a better team, you really need to have the foundations to know you're ready for it. By no means am I giving up in CPG. I've made investments into Cleveland Kitchen and other brands today, and I am working on my next attempt at CPG. But I do believe that, in this case of entrepreneurship, while it does suck to lose a business, it's a learning experience. To me, every time I have an investment that didn't work out, that's just another, again, battle scar. But in some ways, it's my MBA on what I've learned. So I have to make sure that I take those ideas to only get better.
What might you consider one of your biggest challenges, and how did you work to overcome it?
Every day is a challenge, like I showed is the fire in the kitchen. I'd say some of the most recent challenge I think was during COVID. That was a very tough time for all of us, but to be able to have to figure out where I'm going to live, managing multiple offices, layoffs are never easy. That's a really tough place to be because for me, I'm so passionate and emotional about my work, and most of the time you're supposed to remove the emotions. But for me, having those hard conversations about where we're going to go and how we're going to get through this, not just for myself and my own family, but also my colleagues. That was a very tough situation. I know that it's going to happen. Something on that level will happen again. It could be a future recession or just a very tough time for a business. So I feel like I'm more prepared for those kind of situations, or I think about what it will be like. But man, that was a very difficult time in entrepreneurship, and for me, I needed to pivot very quickly. In the case of what happened, Ilthy went from making T-shirts here in Cleveland to now switching over to making masks. Real Good Foods at the time. We were shipping out ice cream to first responders all across the country. So we were having to think through how do we navigate this new environment that we're not used to, much like the fire in this image. But a lot of us needed to figure out how to become better from that. So to me, that was probably one of my toughest moments in my career.
So we've been reflecting on the first 20 years of your career journey. So let's look ahead to that next 20. What's the vision for your work and the impact you want to have in the community?
I think that philanthropy lately has been very important to me. Giving back through business is also very important. It's a layer that isn't talked about enough, and I want to encourage entrepreneurs to think about how they can, build in their backyard and really help their communities. I hope that my next set of projects that I kind of bring out have that level of a very direct social cause attached to them. I've also been thinking about just the challenges in Cleveland and how we can make certain things better, from a civic perspective, safe spaces. So for me, I'm thinking about how can I really just, again, plant more seeds for them to become flowers or potentially trees that the future generations can leverage and benefit from.
Well, Kumar, we thank you for all you are doing for Greater Cleveland. We are happy to have you here and to have your leadership in the entrepreneurial space.